Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. We're talking comic books again. Man, I've been doing a lot of comic book reviews because there's been a lot of indie comic books arriving lately. It depends on when the crowdfunding or the sales happen, but they seem to all be hitting around the same time, which is very groovy. And today we're looking at Goodyng the Polymath from Rippaverse, written by the great, the legendary Mike Baron, art from Will Conrad, and Jay Brown doing, I have to look now, is it the inks? Letters? Let's take a look. Oh, colorist, sorry, okay. So Goodyng the Polymath, Mike Baron, writer, Will Conrad, artist, Jay Brown, colorist, Invisible Art Studio, letterer, Eric July, editor-in-chief, Jen and Sylvia Soska, lead editors, Kanan White, lead art editor, Andrew Rodriguez, editor, Carol Brown, associate editor, Marcos Rios, concept artist. All right. So Goodyng is, would probably fall into the category of the high-tech hero. He is a genius, and made his first appearance in Isom #2, and got enough attention that they decided to give him a book. Now, this is a graphic novel. So this is not Goodyng #1. This is a graphic novel. And, but I would imagine the character could make other appearances, and who knows, maybe even get a series at some point in the future. Now, what this book is, to me, what it reminds me of especially is the old Secret Origins books that you would get from DC Comics. This tells the story of Goodyng's life in several vignettes from, oh geez, would it have been no, probably not elementary, so probably more like junior high school, on through adulthood to him developing his own company. And along the way, the life story of a man who will become, I guess you could call it his arch enemy, a man who's called, at least nicknamed in the news stories, Splatterpuss. You're going, wait, Splatterpuss? It's Mike Baron. Now, this, interesting also, this is going to be the 4th Mike Baron release that I have, that I reviewed on my channel. Private American, very early one, Bronze Star, Nexus Scourge, which I just did maybe, I'm not sure when I'm going to release this one, but maybe just about a week or two ago, and now Goodyng. And I've also was fortunate this year to pick up some old issues of The Badger. Mike Baron is a really interesting writer. He's working on a different level than most of us. So Splatterpuss, yeah, Splatterpuss makes perfect sense in a Mike Baron book. And also happens to be a very cool villain with a very interesting and frankly terrifying superpower. So we get a piece here from Mike Baron. I'm not going to read all of it, but he sort of, tells about how he came into writing this, and talks a little bit about the world. And you do get some world building in this one. For those of us who haven't, who haven't like purchased the cards, which maybe have a little more information about people. I like to learn about the world from the books themselves. I'll repeat a little part of it here. Something went wrong with the U.S. Something horrendous, which had caused it to shatter and reform as 7 different countries, each consumed with their own survival, and no longer wanting a union. Yet there was a new city, Forest Park in Texas, a brand new city, barely 50 years old, but fully grown despite its age, with a flourishing tech industry such as Projexus and Goodyng Industries, a vibrant downtown, and presumably some rundown sections. There was also a new development, Excepts. That's what Eric calls the superhumans he created. They're not superheroes. Perhaps that term died with the United States. Some Excepts did good, others not so much. So here we meet a young Goodyng. I guess maybe he is more like elementary school age at this point. Yeah, fourth grade, as a matter of fact. And he's learning at that age already calculus and some pretty high concept stuff. And he's having some issues with a bully at Dave Sprocket High School. So here we've moved forward to high school, and he's having trouble with this bully. And he comes up with a rather ingenious way to deal with that bully. This particular panel, we're going to see sort of a repeat of this. Don't do anything stupid. When he tells this, principal, or was it a dean or principal? Well, either way, he goes, look, don't go after this kid. I'll deal with it myself. But you see with Cato Goodyng, he is an optimistic kid. He's nice up to a point. Even though he's been getting attacked by this guy, he's not immediately looking for revenge. And in fact, he more wants to just make it stop. We get a BAMF here, which means it's possible at the same time he was punched, Nightcrawler teleported away. Actually, no, that's not possible. So how does he deal with it? Thumbtacks on cardboard underneath his shirt. And ouch. And he snaps a picture of it too. So, but what we're doing, we're getting here sort of this formation of this person and who he is and what he's capable of. And we're going to follow him through college. We're going to follow him through military training. And at the same time, like I said, we're also seeing this bully that he was plaguing him in the past, and his development, where he's being asked, or he's met up now back with Goodyng, and he's asking him, why'd you sign up for the military? He says, this is Texas. This is my country. I want to give back. You? I want to kill people. Okay, so you can't get a more stark difference in these two men. And so we get him through college. And developing a relationship with a woman. And we also see some military action. Conrad does a really nice job with this. So they're in the Marines, presumably the Texas Marines. You see the flag on the shoulder. And so we're going to find out a little bit more about this nation of Texas. We find out a little bit about, I guess the nation would be called Four Corners, unless that's a nickname for it, with its capital probably in Denver. They may not be the most upstanding nation on Earth. And from that country, there is a corporation that essentially is sort of a mercenary organization. And they're going to bring Ronald Hodges into their fold. And it is through his work with them that he's going to develop his special ability. What is his special ability? Buy Goodyng the Polymath and read it and you'll find out. But it's an interesting book. It's sort of a secret origins of the Goodyng character. It's well written. It's smart. And you know that that's going to be the case because of Mike Barron. That's how he writes. There's always a little bit of a wry sense of humor behind it. but it never lessens the stakes, the impact, the reality of the story that's being told. And so we're seeing these two men as they develop and what leads them on their paths. And by the end, you're going to have a fairly full understanding of who Goodyng the Polymath is. He is an inventor. He's a genius. He's a genuinely good man without much of a dark side, which I rather liked, because really bad darks, it's fine. It's a character trait. It makes sense, but it doesn't have to be every character. Take a look here. There we go. That's what the back looks like. So I hope we'll see some more from Goodyng, from Mike Baron. Even if Mike Baron isn't writing Goodyng, I'd like to see more of his writing in the Rippaverse. One of the nice things you get from the Rippaverse, which frankly you got from Marvel and DC back in the day, is the writer's voice. And obviously one writes and collaborates with the artist, so it's a little bit of both. But, Goodyng doesn't read like Yaira, like Isom, like Alphacore. They all meld together without any problem. It's not like really disparate themes or they really clash, which was always an issue back in the day when Marvel is doing the Punisher, and Power Pack. And they did a pretty good job of melding it. It was maybe even more stark at DC at the time. But I like the fact that you did get these different takes and voices and feels to characters from those companies. And you get that from Rippaverse as well. So maybe something is not 100% your speed, but that doesn't mean another offering won't be. And while they all take place in the same universe, they're not so intertwined that you can't understand Yaira if you haven't bought Isom. If you just want to read Yaira, and I'm bringing those up because they're more series rather than a one shot. You could read Yaira without reading all the rest of the stuff. You can read Goodyng without reading the rest of the stuff. You'll get maybe some little tidbits and maybe you'll be intrigued, but you can do it. I like that. It's not forcing you into here's, a dozen titles and you're going to have to buy all of them or you're not going to have any idea what's happening. You don't get that from Rippaverse. You also, like I said, you learn more about this world, that it is not just modern day America, that's outside your doors. This is a world that has gone through some changes. You kind of get the idea that at some point it was more like the world we know, and something's happened. And something catastrophic, apparently. And we still don't know quite what that was. But we're going to find out as we go along. So something to look forward to. Anyhow, Goodyng the Polymath, Mike Baron, Will Conrad, Jay Brown. Great art. I really like the story. I like Mike Baron's writing style. It sets up a really interesting character who can show up later doing other things, and sets up an interesting villain who could also show up elsewhere. It does not have to just be in conflict with Goodyng. In fact, we do at one point in here hear a little bit about Brian Solari, who is an Alphacore, who was at the time military, had a sort of, you almost get, it's almost like, Sergeant Fury's Howling Commandos. He had his own little group in the military, fighting for Texas. And, so you could definitely see where there could be conflict between Alphacore and Splatterpuss at some point. And he's got an interesting power and a difficult one to fight against. But you do get a nice, you do get a nice conflict by the end between Goodyng and Splatterpuss. The good guy and the punk, kind of hashing it out. So, good book. I suggest it. I liked it. I'd like to see more of Goodyng in the future. Hopefully we will, and maybe he'll get like some shorter stories in the Rippazine. It would be a good place to maybe show him off, and what he does, because he does sort of fill, in a way, the Tony Stark role for the Rippaverse, and there's a lot of good story possibilities there. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you've read Goodyng, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, let me know why in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't gotten it yet and you have any questions you'd like to ask, please do so there. And if I can answer them without any major spoilers, I will be very happy to do so. Until next time, though, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Try to have some fun. Oh, yeah, like, subscribe, share. And I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.